Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out, each and every day, it expands our base. We have a lot to discuss this morning, but I want to begin with the birthday book. That's right, I want to begin with the Epstein case. I've not spent a lot of time on the Epstein case because, frankly, what happened in that case is so disgraceful, so horrific, and there should be full disclosure. Let me be very clear. I don't know whether Donald Trump signed the letter in the birthday book, Donald. I don't know whether he wrote the sketch. I don't have any idea. But I can tell you that when the White House simply issues a blanket denial and then does everything it can to obstruct the revelations about the Epstein files, we should all be disturbed. I begin with this because there will be a resolution presented in the House of Representatives. And according to Rokahan, the congressman from Northern California, they now have the votes for a discharge resolution. He believes that there will be a discharge resolution passed by the House of Representatives. Donald Trump is saying, oh no, if you vote for this and you are a Republican, you are being disloyal. I don't get it. Is he trying to cover something up? That's right. I'm going to use the word bluntly, frankly, candidly, cover up. There may be nothing there, but it's very clear that something in this bothers Donald Trump. So were I a member of the House of Representatives, I would vote for the discharge resolution. And by the way, I would do it against any president, Democrat or Republican. The idea that this could be a loyalty test for Donald Trump, and the fact that the Republicans are being threatened that if they don't vote against this discharge resolution, that there will be punishment, maybe even a primary challenge. There is something wrong in the White House, and we'd better get to the bottom of it. There will be handwriting analysis, there will be discussion, there will be debate, but the simple truth is Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein. They were best friends for a period of time. And there is no doubt in my mind that Donald Trump simply doesn't want that revealed. Well, okay, Mr. President, if you believe in transparency, if you believe in honesty and integrity, and if you had the audacity to say a Democrat hoax about the Epstein scandal, let it all out, Mr. President. That's right. Be transparent. That's what you promised you would do before you were elected. And that was one of the key planks in the Republican platform, that they would be honest. Not a written platform, by the way. They don't have a written platform. What they have is statements made by Donald Trump. Well, hold him to the statements, for heaven's sake. I'm saying this now because more will come out in the next few days and weeks. But the doubt, the cloud of disturbance hanging over Donald Trump's head and the White House, well, it's real. And those women who were abused by Epstein and Maxwell, well, they deserve to have everything laid out, and they're asking for it. And they should be granted their wish. Do you have something to hide, Mr. President? Is there something you don't want the American people to know? Well, that's the question. And may I say, if you're not forthcoming, the only interpretation can be that you have something to hide. There is a second issue that I want to address this morning, and that is the Supreme Court, which granted yesterday racial profiling. That's right, racial profiling in the case of Los Angeles. If you're Hispanic, if you work in a low-paid job, you are now subject, based on the decision of the United States Supreme Court, to be searched, stopped. And by the way, even if there are no grounds, even if you're innocent, there is something wrong with what the Supreme Court is doing. And the Supreme Court is going to face a lot of decisions that it will have to make affecting Donald Trump and the United States of America. Let there be no doubt. What the Supreme Court has done, by the way, with only 3 justices dissenting, the liberal justices on the court, what the Supreme Court has done is to open the floodgates of racial profiling. What the Supreme Court has done is to permit the presumption of guilt to prevail over the presumption of innocence. What the Supreme Court has done is, frankly, to give a president the power that a president should not have. Yesterday, I spoke about the question of balance of power. I did it not only on the podcast, but I did it in a lecture I gave at the Fromm Institute at the University of San Francisco. The fact that we no longer have a functioning balance of power, the fact that the Congress will roll over and play dead, the fact that the court will uphold something that is clearly in violation of our rights, means that the balance of power, which has been the backbone of American democracy, co-equal branches of government, checking each other. I have to tell you, I am concerned about the future of American democracy. And I challenge anyone listening to the sound of my voice to dispute what I'm saying. I do not want a rubber stamp court. I do not want a rubber stamp Congress. I want co-equal branches of government, and that's what we don't have right now. Believe me when I tell you, as big a threat as I believe Donald Trump is to the American Constitution and our political system, the fact that the Supreme Court and the Republicans who control Congress are not willing to stand up and say the truth, well, that should bother us all even more. It is my ardent prayer that Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett will wake up, because those are the only 2 swing votes on the court. And my prayer is that in November of next year, in the midterm elections, the American people vote for the Democrats. That's right. In order to restore the balance of power, well, we have to. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. You can interact with me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, by emailing me directly, and I hope you will. And I especially want to thank Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this podcast, who makes sure we are up and running every single day. I am John Rothman, and you are listening to Around the Political World with John Rothman. See you tomorrow.